I cannot speak for everyone who's here, but it still feels like Friday the 13th to me. So you know, on Friday the 13th, witchery and trickery are allowed. So I'm taking advantage of Friday the 13th. But remember, it's witchery and trickery here. There was a king who loved birds. He had a huge aviary in the back of his palace that was filled with every different kind of bird imaginable. Birds that tweeted, birds that cheeped, birds that sang, birds of yellows, birds of blues, all different colors of the rainbow. And every day he would go into his aviary and he'd allow the birds to alight on him, and he delighted in his birds. But then one day a traveler came by and said that there was a bird, that there was the most beautiful bird in all the world, which the king didn't have, of rainbow colors, and sang like the sweetest of the angels. I want it, said the king. I want that bird. Where is it? Oh, said the traveler, it's impossible to catch, because not only is it very, very beautiful and sings more wonderfully than any bird in all of creation, it's very clever. And it lives in the tallest tree right up in the top branches. The king said, I'm the best bird catcher in the world. I will catch that bird. So the very next day, the king got out his bird-catching accoutrements and he went off into the forest. And sure enough, there, in the tallest tree on the highest branch, was the most beautiful bird he had ever seen. And when it began to trill, his heart just soared with the sound. So he prepared, out of his bag, his lasso. He got out his lasso and he swung it around, and he went higher and higher and higher up to the top of the trees. And just as the loop was going to go over the bird's head, it hopped to one side. So the loop fell down right under the king's head. So he rubbed his head because that hurt a little bit. So, well, he had to go into his bag of tricks and see what else he could find. So he came out with his net, his bird net. So he unfolded the length of his bird net, and up it went. But just as the net was going to go over the bird hopped the other way, and the net fell down again, crashing onto the well. This stunned him a little bit, and he moved to one side. But he went back to his bag of tricks and got out his extendable ladder. So he got out his ladder and put it up and up and up and up and up and up. Of course, just when he climbed right up to the top, the bird hopped once again. And the king came toppling down. Now he was quite battered and bruised by this time. And not only that, he'd emptied his bag of tricks. So he sat down under the tree and he started to cry. Well, as he was sitting there weeping, a circus troupe came by. They were foreigners. They had this strange foreign accent, and they asked him what was ailing him, and the king told him that he wanted that bird. Well, said the circus troupe, no problem, we can help you. How can you help me, said the king as the tears were still rolling down his face. We're the Fettuccine brothers, the best acrobats in the world. We will get that bird for you. So, up comes Lasagna. Big, burly, muscly fellow. He stands there, and his brother Fettuccine hops on his shoulders, and then his brother Linguini hops on. And then there's Vermicelli. And right up the top there was Pen, the littlest of the lot, and he reached just where the bird was, And then all of a sudden, Lasagna down the bottom remembered he was allergic to birds. All the brothers shouted, "No, Lasagna, not now!" And he goes, "Choo!" And all the brothers fall down. There were legs, there were arms tangling all over the floor. And the king went into paroxysms of laughter. He couldn't help himself. He was almost rolling on the ground with laughter to see all of this tangling of arms and legs and the sounds that were coming out of this circus troupe. Well, all of a sudden, as he's laughing, with now tears rolling down his face of glee, he realizes that the magnificent bird is sitting right on his shoulder, laughing with him. And the king said, "Oh, you're here." "Yes," said the bird. "I couldn't resist coming down and joining you in your laughter." And the king said, "But I tried to catch you." "Oh," the bird said, "I would never allow you to catch me, but I will be your friend." And so the king said, "Would you come back with me and live in my aviary?" "Oh yes, I'd be glad to," said the bird. So this is just what he did. And every day after that, the king would go into his aviary, and the magnificent and beautiful bird would come and rest on his shoulders and whisper in his ear, "Remember that day when the acrobats fell off?" And they'd both go into paroxysms of laughter, and all the king's cares of the day, the worries about his kingdom and solving all the problems of the world, disappeared. So of course you know very well what the question's going to be, don't you? But remember, it's a trick question. No, it's just a bit of trickery, it's not a trick question. What does that bird represent for you? And remember, there's a bit of trickery here. What does that bird represent for you? Speak from your own experience. That's all we have. Look to the experiences of your life. How many times have you recognized from those experiences the cosmic joke? The cosmic joke. What does that bird represent to us?
It's a bit like the desire that's left when we have everything. That desire for self-realization or whatever we want to call it.
Yes.
And we can do whatever we want to.
We can
can't
aspire
catch it.
to it, chase it.
Higher self.
You can actually. Rather, you can only be in that place and then it's with you.
That's right. That's right. And how does that enable us to live in this world now, leading this life, and when those who come to us in that abject state of despair, for us to play with that? Isn't Friday the 13th every day for us? Every day? And we know that we do have that bird. We don't even have to go into our aviary every day for it to alight on our shoulders. Isn't it so? That's... No, I'm not saying it. Is it my lip?
I was the only bird amongst 121 men last week.
Oh.
Every woman's dream.
Oh.
Except they were dirty, smelly miners. But they were a bit cautious of me being the only girl, so I just kept smiling and talking to them all day, and by the end of 2 days they were my best mate.
And
All you have to ask them is, do they have a boat?
yes. Yes, they have
How big's your boat?
How big is your boat?
How
Wow.
much do they love being asked that question?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Right.
that melts in immediately.
Oh, that's that one.
Got the measure, huh?
Good fun.